The Tzidkas HaTzadik shiur will resume this morning at 9:15, right here in the shul. There's a halacha in Hilchos Pesach, Siman Tuf Nun Beis, about Kashering Kalim, which one would want to skip perhaps. Doesn't seem relevant, but it's really one of the most relevant halachas in this section of the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch says, Ein magilin b'chame tiveria, that you're not allowed to do a hagalas kalim, right? Something becomes chametz stick, and you want it to become kosher, so you got to dip it in hot water. So there's parts of chame tiveria, the hot springs of Tiveria, which are very hot, but so you'll go there, you're very, very convenient. You don't have to boil any water, you don't have to do anything, you just dip in the chame tiveria. Make a mikveh right in the spa there, right? Ein magilin b'chame tveria afilu kelim shedinam kechlisheni. Says the Shulchan Aruch, you can never do that. You can never be magil a keli in chame tveria, in the hot springs of Tveria. Even a klisheni would be like usually a fork or something like that, which you didn't put directly on the fire. You still, says the Shulchan Aruch, can't dip it and kasher it in chame tveria. Why? Mipnei she'ena toldos ha'or, because that water became hot, and it didn't became hot. It's hot. It could be the right temperature, but it was not heated up in the same way as your chametz was heated up in your pot. Meaning, Kebol'o Kach Polto, when you're taking iser out, whether it's basar v'cholav, whether it's treif, whether it's chametz, all this applies. Kebol'o Kach Polto, you've got to get the treif or the chametz out the same way you got it in. And ma boiloi they told us, or how do you get the treif in? Usually by putting a pot on the fire and heating up the water. Av polta or that's the only way to get it out is by doing that. Now there's the Chazal were busy with chametz tveria a lot in a lot of places. Hilchos Shabbos, and the reason is because chametz tveria represented a phenomenon of unnatural or alternative heating of water. It was like an interesting, is it Bishul Shabbos? It didn't, the Gemara has an argument in Pesach Shabbos. How does that get hot? Does it get hot somehow from the sun? Or is it Pischoi Shel Gehenim that opens up underneath it? There's a whole sugya in the Gemara with nafkaminas halacha. But when it comes to kashering, it doesn't work. So I want to point out something very, very important, why this is so important. That we tend to think, if you don't know enough, you tend to think that, okay, this pot became chametz stick because I boiled it in chametz soup, oatmeal, and that oatmeal reached 240 degrees. So now I need 240 degrees to get out the oatmeal or the taste of the oatmeal from the pot. And Kebol'o Kach Polto, it's wrong. Kebol'o Kach Polto needs many, many factors. One factor is the temperature. Another factor is the environment or the derech that it became cooked. In other words, Chazal taught us, Chazal teach us over here, that it has to be Kebol'o Kach Polto. That's an exact science. In fact, it's not a scientific science. It's not a science which, like some type of a science person will say, well, the svara is that it comes out with this amount of heat. We don't know that. We don't know why necessarily if you boil a spaghetti in a pot, but you boil the water up to the same temperature afterwards, why the taste of the spaghetti comes out. Not necessarily so pasha. We just know, Kebol'o Kach Polto. So here Chazal is saying, but it's not about temperature. Temperature is just one factor. If you go to the chame tiveria, you go to the hot springs of Tiveria, have the same temperature, and it won't be good. So you need all the factors. It has to be on a fire. It has to be the same kind of a pot. Everything has to match the way the flavor of the spaghetti went in. That's how the flavor of the spaghetti has to go out. The Rabbi adds, which is interesting, let's say you cooked it the thing to begin with, the spaghetti in the Beit Tveria, right? So then, says then you can do it. It's interesting, this Rabbi is not arguing with the Shulchan Aruch. In fact, his quote for that is the Beis Yosef, is the Shulchan Aruch. But what he's saying essentially is that Shulchan Aruch, you left out a very important sentence, And that sentence is that unless you cooked, because Kebol'o Kach Polto means if you cooked in the chametz you can kasher the chametz. And I think that the Rabbi is saying this to bring the yisoid out very, very clear. So one of the practical, the halachic consideration that has to be made here is that it's not as simple as heat. That's not the way it works. Second thing is, or a practical application would be that the poskim say, almost all the poskim say, that if you kasher something, let's say, in a microwave, so the microwave can get the water, let's say, to the same heat as a fire could get. What do I get? That it can get it to be boiling and get the water to the same heat, but that water is not water that was kashered ayidei tolazar. So in the microwave, you didn't kasher. This is most of the poskim say you didn't kasher, not the vessel you put in the microwave, and not anything you're going to put into that vessel, because it was never a kli rishon al ha'ar. Yeah, it was never the same thing as a kli rishon al ha'ar. So here's a comparison: alternative boiling from chametz to microwave, and many other applications, or at least some other applications, which I'll share with you. But the yisoid that I wanted to say this morning is that it's not as simple as we think. Heat. It's not about heat. We can't try to be a scientist here. It's a halacha, almost like Xeris HaKosav, that kol asher ba b'bayim yaviru b'bayim. It's a din, and that din has to be studied.